Join our new, simpler, free room where we break down the foundations of our trading for those who are looking to gain financial freedom in the markets. Check out Simpler Stream Week from June 21st to the 23rd for live market analysis. And guess what? It's all free, right here on YouTube.
All right, hey everyone, this is Jack, and welcome to your June 17th free futures update. Let's talk about what happened this week, going into a long weekend, and where I think we might be heading next week on Tuesday. So right now, as the time that this video is being taken, we've got about an hour left in the market today on this Friday. I imagine we'll be closing somewhere around 3,700, or maybe just a little bit lower, maybe 3650, but the whole idea here is just to get ready for what could possibly be a really nasty move again, even though it would be a short week. Just kind of looking at both scenarios, one to the upside and one to the downside. And the one to the downside is obviously just the one we're all kind of like looking at and going, well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise any of us, right, if we continue to trek down to maybe 2,900 in the SPX for the next going into July, or maybe we're there in July at some point. But what does that mean for next week? So it could be a quiet week, but I'm looking at two things. I'm looking at the market, but I'm also looking at commodities like crude and natural gas, and then what are they doing? So take a look at the daily chart on crude. Looks like it's in consolidation mode, and I've got some Fibonacci's up here that look at the 1272 extension down here at 106. Maybe we break down below that and go down to about 103, which is a key tree line on a daily time frame. It would also kind of make sense for crude to continue to consolidate as it typically does. And then what would that mean for natural gas and energy as a whole? You can see natural gas here. And I've got a lower target for this squeeze trying to fire to the downside. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you can kind of jump into whatever natural gas ETF or leveraged ETF that you like to trade. You can buy puts on BOIL if you want to. But it's just kind of to point out that energy is taking another leg lower, and it looks like that would continue. And I won't be surprised if we're coming into next Wednesday and Thursday at crude somewhere below 100, worst case scenario, like 94 or 98. And really just being hands off whenever it comes to the opening session on Tuesday. Do we get one more kind of rip higher above 3,700 and, kind of this euphoric hurrah on Tuesday morning? And then does it continue to sell off? And then all of a sudden, are we talking about, 3,200 in SPX at some point later on at the end of the week? All things are very possible. We know what kind of market this is. And so it's just good to be prepared, and just kind of know the environment of which you're trading. So right now it's just kind of a weird spot whenever you look at the initial balance chart here on an hourly time frame. This goes back 20 days, by the way. What would a pretty miraculous rip look like if we were to get it? Well, that's the thing, is I really hesitate to think that we're actually going to get it. So if we're trading stubbornly below 37.30 on Tuesday, I think this is kind of getting ready for just another short. And it could be, that we actually have one of our major limit downs, a limit down day between now and the end of July. So I'm looking for something like a extended correction. This flex grid right here on a daily chart on the left hand side gives you the weekly time frame, and my weekly 200 takes us down to 3,500. Okay, that is without the weekly squeeze firing, even though we can kind of see that first week starting to right now. So we're in an interesting time where, I don't think any of us would be surprised that this continued to just completely fall apart. And that does include energy. And there's some macro events out there that are happening that could easily make the supply of crude maybe a little bit easier to access, i.e. Could be in the form of Ukrainian-Russian concessions. It could be coming in the form of kind of unlocking more barrels of production per day. But here in crude, looks like consolidation is happening, and I'm not afraid to let it just continue to happen down to 103 or even 98. Those are two key tree voodoo lines that I think are really important, worth considering. Just so as long the message here is not to be jumping into anything too fast after the long weekend. Okay, if you're short crude, your target is down here at about 103. And it might get better than that for you, but I think it's good just to have some conservative targets. So it's a pretty straightforward video today. We're just kind of hands off now. We got through a pretty tough week. SPX expiration is over. We'll come into a fresh week with 2 weeks left trading in June, and we'll see what it all means. My big question is, are we going to rally for 2 weeks into July and then sell off in July in a major way? Or are we just going to not delay the process and invite the inevitable destruction of the SPX here down to 3,200 and lower sooner than later? So that's my thought process right now. So on Tuesday, we can definitely entertain some of the long side stuff if we're just kind of doing a very small, if risk on is fairly minimal. So cautiously bullish. Just because, we've made a lot of second deviation moves. We're kind of oversold. And, is that enough of a catalyst for maybe, a few big days in tech next week? The beauty of options and futures is we can play both sides. So we'll just kind of figure out what makes the most sense and go from there. But this is probably the most straightforward video I've made this year, just because that whole week that we just went through was just really bonkers. And we had record-breaking SPX expiration. We had a new Fed hike. We are just kind of surfing through the spring summer here with a very different personality of a market than what we've seen. So not trying to rush into anything, but definitely want to see if we can catch a little bit of a bid and maybe trade this higher, but also be prepared at the same time for a really nasty sell-off that could come earlier than what I think I'm behind as far as like what I've talked about with most other traders. They're like, man, I think this thing's just shortable right on Tuesday. And I get that and I respect it. But I'm trying to play the second deviation down here and trying to make sense of a little bit more of a buy side, saying that we're at an extreme level down here. But, it's definitely tough. Nothing about this is easy, but we'll see what ends up on Tuesday, how we open up, and what it all looks like from here. All right. Have a great long weekend, and we'll see you in the next one, and catch me on Tuesday in the Futures Room. Take care.
Thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to like and comment down below to help us out. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can get notified when we release our next video. And if you want to watch us trade in real time using our own money, go to simplertrading.com to learn how to sign up. Good trading, and we'll see you in the next video.